Hi again. Thanks for joining back to listen to the second part of our well building video. If you remember, we ended the first part with the lowering of the chowka, which is this firm base on which the lining wall of the well stands. About 10 days after we did that, we had some showers, thanks to which the chowka got cured and set properly. Now it was time for the well to be lined with the stones that had been chiseled into roughly cuboid shape. So the fascinating thing for me to learn was that this original position of the chowka, which for us was at about 20 feet, was not going to be its final position. We hadn't hit bedrock yet, remember? But since we've struck water already, it wasn't possible to keep digging. That's where the mastery of the chowka comes in. Once the chowka is set, Balu had judged that the sides of the well were stable enough. And then the team was able to resume digging, including the portion underneath the chowka. Turns out the chowka has a tapered base, so the pressure and the gravity causes it to shift down as they dig. This is one of the hardest parts of the whole process because the mud is growing increasingly slushy. Thankfully, we hired a crane to heave out the wet, heavy mud that needs to be cleared each time. The crane no doubt made things quicker, but this was still quite an ordeal. Each container full of mud and water has to be lifted out slowly and carefully. Any jerky movements cause it to swing precariously, and a mishap could be really dangerous to the crew working down below. Over 2 days, the team managed to dig another 5 feet, which you will agree now that you know all that goes into it, is really fast-paced work. The well is now 25 feet deep. All this while, water is continuously streaming in from the sides of the wall. Excess water makes it impossible to keep digging, so the crew inside the well have to manually empty out this water. And we can't use a pump either because muddy water would damage the pump. While this water streaming in makes the proceedings so much more precarious, we couldn't help but marvel at the sight. There it was, groundwater in all its glory. It was finally time to start lining the wall, stone by stone. The stones used here are called bond stones. They're longer than usual, almost 1.5 feet in length. The stones that form part of a single ring are mostly dry stacked, meaning there's no mortar gluing them together. However, we did use a thin layer of mortar between each successive ring. Ideally, you don't even need this, but we chose to be extra careful because the stability of these bottom few layers are most critical, and you'll soon understand why. For the curing of each ring, we used water that was pumped out from the well itself. It was a special feeling to use our well water for something for the first time.
Something that really spared us expense was the presence of this generator. Marvin had bought it many years ago for his office in Hassan, and we brought it back and serviced it so we could use it for the well.
Once these first few rings are built, believe it or not, there is more digging. While there is physical strength involved here, it is a delicate job too. Every action is strategized and directed meticulously by Balu up above. After all, the stability of the well wall is at stake here. You see, this time when the chowka sinks down, it takes with it the entire built part of the wall. Imagine. We dug up to 30 feet and we stopped there because we felt that this depth would be enough to meet our water needs.
What's your expert evaluation?
Yes, from all the construction sites that I've been to so far, I think this is the best.
Whoa! Yay!
Excellent well work.
Finally, it was time to complete the lining. This was a race against time because the month of May was about to end and the monsoons were scheduled for the first week of June. Balu and his team worked tirelessly. There is a science to this too. They lay the chiseled stones in a ring right at the front, with Balu ensuring that they sit tight and equidistant from the center. Then they lay the border stones behind the ring. Basically, these are bigger boulder stones that help fill the gap between the mud edge and the well ring. Smaller chucky stones and then even smaller jelly or gravel stones are added to seal the layer tightly. One crew member at the top coordinates the transport of the right size stones at the right time. And in this manner, the well is built up layer by layer. A slow and tiring process, but beautiful to watch.
Checking out how our well is looking. We've had some decent rains in the monsoon so far. Now, let's see if it's made any dent in the groundwater situation. Whoa! Okay, this is pretty high up. How does it feel now?
Very good. We have at least 20 feet of water. If this is around 10 feet. Well is 30 feet. So around
How deep is the well?
30.
30 feet.
Once all the layers were built, we built a laterite dundee. That's the part of the well that sticks out of the ground. The cuboidal laterite stones had to be shaped because the inside has to be narrower than the outside, as you can imagine.
ನನಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ನೀರಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟ್.
By now, the monsoons had set in, and just a couple of weeks of solid rains later, we had a well full of heartbreakingly blue water. Thanks for following and supporting our journey. Keep watching these update videos. For now, bye.